Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Navid Muazzez, and welcome to another episode of the Lifestyle Architects. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Maneesh Sethi. Manish is the founder of the awesome blog Hack the System and the new tech startup Pavlok. Since 2008, Manish has traveled to over 30 countries, learned 5 languages, and studies the art of hacking systems and much, much more. And you built a pretty awesome business that lets you travel around the world as well. But now you're kind of based in Boston and working on this startup.
That's right.
So welcome to the show, Manish.
Thanks a lot for inviting me.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I've been following you for quite some time, like first with your blog, Hack the System, and now your latest project, Pavlok. So, I thought was timely to bring you on to talk more about how you can actually create good habits and make them stick. So, everything we cover today, you can find that over at navid.me/44 for the listeners. But first of all, before we get into that, can you tell us a bit about kind of yourself and your latest startup, how you got into this?
Sure. Yeah. So my old blog, Hack the System, you read, is about traveling and starting online businesses while traveling. And one of the biggest downsides to traveling is the lack of structure, the lack of routine. I myself am pretty, hyperactive and ADHD, and I tend to be really bad at focusing. So I would do little experiments to identify what are the best ways to make myself become productive. One of those experiments ended up being my most successful experiment. It was where I hired somebody to sit down next to me, and then every time I would use Facebook, her job was to slap me in the face. My assistant's job was to slap me in the face whenever I use Facebook. And I tracked my productivity during this time and noticed that some of my best quality work came out when I had this call her a slapper, call her an accountability partner. Realistically, it was having somebody sit down next to me, watching me, making sure I stay on track. And I started thinking about this. I called up a friend and I said, "Hey, wouldn't it be funny if we made a dog shock collar that shocked me every time I use Facebook?" And my friend said, "Let's go to Radio Shack." And so we did. And we built this little reverse engineered dog shock collar. Every time I went on Facebook, it shocked me. And we made a little video I knew would go viral. But before I posted the video, I thought to myself, this is actually really interesting. We have hundreds of devices that track what we do, like Fitbit, Fuel Band, whatnot. But this might be the first device that actually changes what we do. If we can use data, preset goals and commitments, and use that information to keep us on track, we might be able to make a big lasting change within our own habits and psyche. So that's how the idea for Pavlok, which is a wearable device. This is an alpha prototype designed to help you stick to your goal and form good habits in the brain. That's how the idea came about.
Definitely. I mean, we can get into that a bit more in this interview. But first, kind of, let's start with what's the definition of a habit in the first place? And I mean, you've done a lot of research on this, so I'm sure, for kind of coming up with this project and all this.
Sure. A habit is essentially when your brain is so used to doing some kind of action that when the trigger cues your brain that it's time to do the same repetitive action, your brain goes into automatic mode. So you might think about whenever you enter the shower, the act of like getting in the shower, the water hitting you becomes this trigger that lets you know that you know what to do, you know how to wash yourself. So your brain has it releases its cognitive load, meaning that it just starts to operate automatically, and your brain is freed up to start thinking about all those great ideas that people have in the shower. Another example is when you drive, right? When you get in a car and you sit down in a car and start driving. If you ever go to a new location, like you're just checking Google Maps every second, you're trying to look around. But when you go to the same route from home to work every day, your brain switches into this automatic gear where it starts just like bumping to the music and automatically switching in the right way. A habit is when a trigger forces your brain to go into an automatic mode. And what's interesting is that about 40 to 45% of your daily actions are in this automatic mode. Now think about it. The majority of our automatic spent time is doing things like eating food, or doing things like washing dishes or watching TV. But for some people, their automatic mode is spent exercising, or spent practicing music, or spent writing books and novels. And if the fact is that for these people who are producing rather than consuming, the difference is not in willpower. The difference is simply in habit. But the sum of what happens over a period of time is that while this A group spent 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 years watching TV, this B group spent 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 years writing books, composing music, becoming DJs, whatever. And but neither of them exerted any more effort than the other group.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting because my audience consists of a lot of kind of aspiring entrepreneurs and online entrepreneurs. For them, probably fitness is extremely important, and also kind of daily writing, which I'm trying to kind of get into myself because I'm writing on a book and stuff like that. So that's something I believe can really help if we can form those habits and not procrastinate, which I do sometimes as well. I'm trying to form this morning routine, getting up early in the morning, but sometimes you don't feel like it. So how can you break free of those bad habits and form the good ones instead?
Sure. There's a lot of questions about bad habits and good habits, and they're two different processes in the brain: breaking bad habits and forming good habits. And there are particular specific keystone habits that once you identify these particular habits, they tend to make long-lasting positive change. So like you can look at, there's billions of habits that you could do. For example, maybe today you tie your left shoe before you tie your right shoe. And if you exert a little bit of willpower and train yourself, you can make yourself start putting on your right shoe instead of you put your left shoe on. Great. That doesn't make a big lasting change. However, if you identify these particular keystone habits, and you mentioned one of them, morning routines, and you implement that as your keystone habit, and you make yourself stick to it for a period of 30 to 66 days until it becomes so automatic in your brain that it's uncomfortable to not do it, then naturally good habits arise from it. So some of these keystone habits are exercise. Once you start to exercise, you tend to sleep better, you tend to wake up earlier, you tend to drink less, you tend to eat more good foods and eat less bad foods. That's one of those great keystone habits. Morning ritual, that's the only one that I know of that's been tested and has like scientific basis. I've theorized several other keystone habits. I think the most important ones are a morning ritual, and also an evening ritual. B, I believe meditation may be one of the most powerful keystone habits that I haven't seen done any research on, but I know from a personal and from my own test groups, it has massive ramifications. By focusing on these small, tiny habits and creating a structure that forces you to stick to them, you can make your brain become so used to doing this good action that it becomes so automatic that it becomes uncomfortable not to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that makes a lot of sense. But with the morning, you mentioned morning ritual. So how can you form one? Let's say you are like a slacker kind of. How can you form a morning ritual and really stick to that?
Sure. So I'm going to go ahead and show you really briefly the Fogg behavioral model, which is how I kind of base a lot of my behavior change techniques on. So I studied under BJ Fogg at Stanford University, and BJ Fogg is a professor of habit psychology, and he created this behavior image, which I'm about to show you. Just give me one moment. I'll share it on my screen. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes, for sure.
Great. Okay, so this is not a habit. This is a behavior. I'll take a step after this and talk about behavior. I'll talk about habits. But this is making yourself do something one time. So if you're looking at this model, you see these two axes. The top and bottom is motivation, and the bottom and the left and right are ability. So what that means is, that an action that you wish to change it's required that you're motivated to do it, and that it's easy to do. So, for example, let's say it's the beginning of the year and you really want to go to the gym and you made this New Year's resolution and it's like you're really motivated, right? And then you're driving to work and you're like, I'm going to go to the gym today right at lunchtime. And you get to lunch and then you realize that you left your gym clothes at home and suddenly it's hard. Well, it doesn't matter that you set your reminder on your phone. No matter how motivated you are, your ability is so low that your trigger is going to fail. The trigger being this alarm on your phone. On the other hand, if you said, all right, I'm really excited and I'm going to go to the gym right now and I've already prepaid for a personal trainer there, so it's already high motivation, and I already have my gym clothes in my bag, then it's easy to do. It's much more likely to succeed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So I took this model to heart and I tried to break this down into the specific tasks. How can we A, make motivation a lot higher, and B, how can we make the ability much easier to do? Your question was about a morning routine, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to do was break that down into the ability. So let's talk about the ability axis. How do we make the ability easier to do? Well, first of all, with the morning routine, you probably have something that you are already doing in the morning. What do you do in the morning?
Yeah,
I'm
and
asking.
yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I in my case, I go to the gym, early on.
Do you?
Yeah, right now I'm trying at least, I'm doing
Okay,
it every
yeah.
other day.
So let's talk about things that you like. When I say a morning routine is something you do every day.
Yeah.
A routine is like so automatic that you just find yourself doing it. For example, do you brush your teeth every day?
Yeah, and drink a glass of water. That's the first thing I do.
You do.
Yep.
You get up and you drink a glass of water.
Yes.
So first thing you should know, Navid, is that that's amazing. Like nobody does that, and it's really important. And very few people manage to drink a glass of water in the morning.
Yeah.
And I've had calls with people who were their entire goal was to get themselves to drink water. And I'd say, great, well, get up and go drink a glass of water. He's like, no, I'll do it after the call. I'm like, idiot, get up and drink a glass of water right now on the call. Okay, so you already are getting up. And let's go through your morning. So you wake up. Do you wake up to an alarm, or do you wake up just because you wake up?
Yeah, to my mobile phone. Yeah.
What time does it go off at?
Around 6 or 7 usually. Yeah, that's kind
Okay,
of.
so you get up between 6 and 7. You get up and you just walk to the sink and grab a glass of water, right?
Yeah, that's the first thing I do. I did it ever since I was a kid. My dad taught me this.
Great, and your dad did a great job teaching you. And what he did was that he created this first anchor of what you can use to help string together your morning routine. So you already have this beginning step. Now, do you do anything after you drink water?
After I drink water, I probably sometimes I had drink like fresh squeezed orange juice as well, since I have oranges at home usually. So that's kind of what I do after my glass of water.
Do you brush your teeth at any point?
Yeah, after that, after I head to the gym, I brush my teeth,
So you go to the gym and then brush your teeth?
and I come back. Yeah,
Okay.
for
So
breakfast.
right now what we have in this morning routine is you get up, you drink water, and then you may or may not drink another substance, and then that's your routine. Some days you might go to the gym, some days you might not, but right now that's the thing that you're already doing every morning. That's a trigger.
Hmm.
So what you would want to do next is identify what your next ideal would be. So when you're forming habits, you want to do one thing at a time, right? And if your whole idea of graphing out this morning routine, the first thing I do is sit down and say, what would I like my morning routine to be? And I make a big list. And it's like, okay, I'd like to get up, brush my teeth, floss my teeth, shower, dress, take the old dishes, put them into wash, make sure the old dishes are emptied, wash the new dishes that are in the sink, go out to the gym. Like that might be my morning routine. But getting there is a big leap.
Yes.
Instead, you have this big list, and what I'll do is I'll put this right in front of my refrigerator, right wherever I do go already every morning. And I'll focus on just the next thing. So in your case, you say you get up and you drink water.
Yep.
Your next thing, I don't know what your next thing is. If it could be, you have to decide this for yourself. In your case, it might be adding meditation would be really powerful. That's like a double whammy. Or it might be going outside in your gym clothes, regardless of if you exercise.
Yeah.
Going outside in your gym clothes, or just going and brushing your teeth first. You got to decide this yourself, and it's really important that you make that decision and you write it down, and it's very specific. So I'm saying it could be this or it could be that, but for your own internal decision, it's got to be very specific. So let's just imagine this ideal day that I'll make up for you, and you can totally change it however you want, right?
Sure.
Let's say that in this ideal, you'll wake up, you'll grab a glass of water and or a glass of juice. Then you will go straight to brushing your teeth and flossing, then to meditating, then to showering, then to then outside in your gym clothes. Or maybe in your gym clothes, or if you're not working out that day, you go outside in your regular clothes. But you go outside as soon as that's done, right?
Yep.
What I've been focusing on is, first of all, making that ability really easy to do. So all you have to do is write this big piece of paper on your list, and then you say, okay, today I'm going to get up, drink a glass of water and or another substance, and then go without sitting down to brush my teeth, right? You create these little links, and you say, this is all I have to do for the next week. Each day I will do this and that, and that's it. Then maybe next week, if I decide to continue, I can add the meditation, whatever order I said it was. what you do next. So now we've broken it down to make it really easy to do. Like, do you believe, if you wanted to, that after you drink a glass of water, you would be able to go brush your teeth?
Yeah, definitely. You know.
You could, right? Now, again, I don't know if you want to brush your teeth at this point, but this is just a if you could. If you could, great. Now, are you motivated to? You might say, yeah, it's probably a good idea, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I like to add motivation. So there's two ways that I add motivation. The first is through accountability. The second is through bets. So what I'll do is I'll say, all right, well, now that I have this really easy to do action, very simple. All I have to do is, without sitting down, as soon as I finish drinking my water, go and brush my teeth. I'll say, okay, great. Well, now let's make the motivation higher. I will say, if I don't brush my teeth, if I sit down at any time between drinking a glass of water and brushing my teeth, I will owe $50 to a friend or a charity, right?
Yeah. I mean,
It's so
powerful.
it's so easy to do, but also the money is so strong that there's no way you're gonna mess that up, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's. I mean, I've done this in the past. It's extreme. It works.
Yeah, it works so well. And then the trick here is to add the accountability. So you have the motivation is high with the betting. In this case, your accountability will have to be, for a couple days, you'll have to text somebody saying, "Hey, I brushed without sitting down." I like to take photos. It really motivates me, and my friend laughs or whatever. Post it on Facebook. But once you start to identify these easy to do tactics, you can start to build up to larger habits. So I'll show you a little. Are you still looking at my screen right now?
Yeah.
All right, let me go back to video. Um, oh, you can see both. Whoa, that's cool.
Oh, that's nice. I haven't done this before. So, okay.
Yeah,
Now you're
I'm gonna
back.
yeah, I'm just gonna show you one more slide. So I broke this down into what I call micro habits, and that's taking the idea of just one second. So you can see my screen again.
Yes.
So we took this habit model where we said, okay, so our goal is to now, our goal is to exercise for 30 minutes a day. That's the end goal here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start off by saying my morning routine will be drink daily, morning coffee. This is what I'm already doing. So in your case, drink water. And then step outside in the gym clothes. And you'll add a bet. So I have to walk outside in my gym clothes. And if I don't walk outside in my gym clothes, I owe $50. I don't have to work out. I can turn right back, go home, and just eat a pizza. It doesn't matter. But the first week, you simply have to go outside in your gym clothes. The next week, you're going to go to the gym and swipe your card. You don't have to work out. You just have to swipe your card. And that's super easily to do accountability with. Our Pavlok app, we have GPS for your gym location. So we'll know when you walk to the gym, and it'll report to your accountability partner or to the live audience that you succeeded or not. Once you've found, like, the next micro habit is after you go go to the gym, swipe your card, you got to remain there for 5 minutes. Then you got to remain there for 15 minutes. Then you got to remain there for 30 minutes. And once you've been there for 30 minutes, you've actually hit your goal of being at the gym for 30 minutes a day. You might not, like in this case, you would decide when to start exercising as well, but it's hard to spend 30 minutes at the gym in your gym clothes without exercising.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to get to the point here is that people, like, everyone knows this, everybody knows this. It's been said a million times. You can't do 100 habits at once. You have to start small. But what people don't realize is that when I say small, I mean small. I mean, go outside in your gym clothes. Even if you can't do that, just go outside, lock your door. That's it. But identify how you will make this automated system happen, and then start to focus on creating these little systems, what I call these bets. I call them systems. Mm-hmm. These motivational systems in order to enforce that habit. So what I just talked about a little bit here is breaking down, this is the behavioral model of breaking down a difficult habit and making it easier to do, and adding motivation. The last thing I want to do to tie this all together is about the actual process of how habits form in the brain. So doing it one time, I'm sure, Navid, did you pronounce it Navid?
Yeah, Navid, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that easily tomorrow you could say, all right, tomorrow I'm going to get up, I'm going to, I don't know, I would love it if you would on this call tell me 3 or 4 things that you would ideally have as your morning routine, if you want to. But if you do, go ahead and write it up at some point. If you don't, I wanted to show you one other slide about how these specific behaviors change over time. And it comes actually directly to your point about water, mm-hmm. which was a bunch of people trying to form the habit of, after I finish breakfast, I will drink a glass of water. And another group of people said, after I finish breakfast, I will do 50 sit-ups.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people in between saying something like, after breakfast, I will go outside and jog, or after breakfast, I'll eat some vegetables or whatever. And then the University College of London started to identify and sit down and think about, did an experiment with these people saying, how much time does it take before the brain reaches a maximum level of automaticity? When does it become harder to not do this action than to do this action? So they considered a glass of water after breakfast as one of the easiest actions. They considered doing 50 sit-ups as one of the hardest actions. It would take 20 days before they reached the maximum level of automaticity of drinking glasses of water. That means that if I have breakfast and I go outside without drinking a glass of water, I'll be like, oh shit, did I forget my water? Like, you know, when you forget your keys and you start like, oh my God, do I have them? You check your pockets. That's the feeling you get if you don't drink that glass of water. It would take 84 days for the group that was doing 50 sit-ups to feel that weird feeling. Oh my God, I didn't do 50 sit-ups. I only did 25. I need to get the other 25 in later today. Something like that. 84 days is a long time.
Yep.
20 days is not a short amount of time. It's not that long, though. That said, there's some beauty in the fact that after 84 days, anybody becomes addicted to doing 50 sit-ups. That means a fat guy from the Midwest becomes the kind of person who has to do 50 sit-ups if he simply does it 84 days in a row. Now, that's really hard, though. 84 days in a row is a long time, and it can take several years to manage to hit that 84 days in a row. That said, how long do you think it might take to hit 1 day in a row? Yeah. Hit one sit-up after breakfast.
Yeah, much easier.
Much easier. So if this same person said, all right, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to simply do one sit-up after breakfast, this micro, tiny habit, the smallest it can possibly be. He does one sit-up, then 2 weeks later he says, I'll do 5 sit-ups. Then he says, I'll do 20 sit-ups. Well, he's formed the habit of getting into sit-up position. The next step is just icing. It's really easy. So this kind of circulates my whole theory on forming habits. It's about identifying how to change one particular behavior, and that's based on the Fogg behavioral model, change one behavior, and then modifying that over time in order to reach that automatic level in the brain.
Definitely. I mean, I love actually what PJ Fogg does. I read some studies he had on website design actually and website credibility. And, you know, that's kind of how I found out about him. But obviously he has a lot of other stuff going on as well.
Yeah, he's a genius. He's a very smart man.
Yeah. So you mentioned also Keystone Habits. I believe that's from the Power of Habits, the book, right?
That's where I read the word the first time.
Okay, yeah. But you also did with accountability partners, you know, some people, they might be listening into this and they don't have anyone to go to the gym to or have any accountability partners. What can they do to get this same kind of motivation as well?
How does a team get an accountability partner?
No, I mean, how can you get if you want to go to the gym or you want to form this morning routine, but you don't have a lot of people, maybe supporters around you, is there another way you can get the same kind of support so you actually do this? Maybe this little bets and so on.
Sure. There's several ways. The first is by A, finding support people, B, buying support people, or C, using alternative accountability methods. So if you talk about A, finding support people, well, you can probably find somebody who wants to go to the gym. You can maybe not. You can probably find somebody who will help push you or let you text them every day, saying that and it's really easy, especially when you promise and make a bet. You say to anybody, hey, I'm making a bet. I will go to the gym every day for the next 30 days. If I don't, I'll pay you $50 a day. Are you okay with that? No one says no to that. Yeah, you can also use that same now with our app, the Pavlok app. You can download it and it lets you set any custom set any custom goal. Like I will go to the gym by today, or I will not drink alcohol, or I will do 50 push-ups and a backflip. And at 7 p.m. it'll text your accountability partner and said, did Maneesh succeed with his goal of do 50 push-ups and a backflip today? And if he texts back no, then the $50 is debited from your account. So you can use that as a way to find some partner who will be your accountability partner. B, you can buy accountability, and I highly recommend this for a lot of cases. Private trainers, if you're trying to learn a language, getting a language tutor. For some reason, when you pay for a personal anything, you feel really bad if you miss it. Again, notice that word personal. If you pay for a class, you don't feel that bad missing it as much. But if you pay for a personal something, personal trainer, personal lesson, personal. I mean, I've used it for morning routines, man. Like TaskRabbit. I hired somebody on Craigslist or TaskRabbit to call me every day for morning routines, morning rituals, making sure I was done. I've toyed around with the idea of hiring somebody to literally physically come to my house and wake me up.
Nice.
Yeah, and it sounds crazy, but it's not unheard of. In fact, there's a lot of famous authors who have hired people to wake them up in the morning and force them to work with buckets of water in some situations.
Wow.
And the third way was to use software. So I do a lot of my accountability testing through non-cheatable methods. So GPS on your phone, can't cheat that. If you go to the gym and you hit the check-in button, you have succeeded for the Pavlok day. Mm-hmm. But if you don't, there's no way you can finagle your way out of that one. You're getting your card debited. You can, you can't get out of it. So the trick here is understanding the power of pre-commitment, which is that we have these two brains. You know, we have our executive function, which is here. That's language, rationalization. It's our human brain. And then back here, you have your basal ganglia, which is where it's in the same structure as in monkeys and apes. And that's where your habits lie. And that's why in the morning, your executive function is very strong. Willpower is highest in the morning. And your executive function will say, hey, man, Maneesh, it would be really good today if you did this and this and this. And then if you don't eat any cookies, and then as soon as you get to the office and somebody brought donuts and cookies and your basal ganglia is like, yo, like, I'm sure you can just have one. It's no big deal. And this guy's like, oh, shit, come on, listen to me, Maneesh, listen to me, Maneesh, listen to me, Maneesh. But instead, it's just the basal ganglia that takes over because the habits are much more powerful than any rationalization. Suddenly you find yourself eating, and then you go into this weird spin of like, I already messed up today, so I might as well have every single cookie that exists in the world. And then it's just a bad process, right? The trick is understanding that there are these moments when you do have this executive function, and it's very strong. And at that moment is the right time to pre-commit, burning your bridges, so you can't fail. I'll give you an example. A couple weeks ago, I still hate past Maneesh for this, but I passed Maneesh from 2 weeks ago at night. He's like, you know what's a really good idea is I've noticed that bets really motivate Maneesh in the mornings. In fact, I should make a bet every day. I'm going to make a bet with Caleb, who's my personal assistant, to make a bet every day for the month of July. In fact, I'm going to make a bet that if I don't have a bet set by Sunday night to make a bet every day for each individual day, I will owe some amount of money to somebody. So I ended up making a bet to make a bet to make a bet. But what's happened now is every morning, if I don't have my bets set by 10:30 a.m., and yes, I did it right before this call, if I don't have my 3 must-dos by the end of the day done, I owe $150. And then if I succeed on at least 2 of my 3 bets during the day, I earn money from my pool of money. And if I don't, I pay money. I earn $50 to my personal account, or I spend $100 from my personal account if I don't succeed. And because I've started off slow by allowing myself to create the bets in the morning and only having to do 2 out of 3, but I have done 2 out of 3 things every single day this month, and that's never happened before. I had this one moment of the ability to pre-commit, this one moment of maximum willpower that has set the stage for the rest of the day. And you'll see it every day. Like, it'll be 11:35 p.m. and I'm like, shit, I've only done 1 of these things. All right, what's the next one? What's the easiest way for me to do it? Let me do it. Do it, knock it out of the park. Don't have to pay the money. I earn cash instead.
Wow, that's interesting. But something I'm trying to form is kind of this daily writing habit, because I'm writing on a book, and it also can be formed to blog posts and all that. I want to get into much more guest blogging and so on. So do you use any tools for that, or is it just like, okay, I'm going to write, let's say start small, start with maybe 100 words and then move up, or what would you suggest?
What do I use, or what would I suggest?
No, what would you suggest to someone who wants to start with daily writing?
Sure. First of all, identify what time of the day you're best at writing, or when you feel most comfortable. Most people, it's in the morning before there's any distractions. You wake up early, which is a great win. Other people, it's in the evenings when there's no distractions. It's rare to see somebody say like at 2 p.m. when I'm at my office. Like, it's just rare. But first of all is to identify a time and place where you will do it and make that decision. And realistically, it doesn't matter. It just has to be set. Second, you're going to identify what's this minimum habit. You might say, there's a few ways to approach that. You could say, I will spend at least 20 minutes in my writing chair, or I will write at least 30 words in whatever 750words.com or on Write Room or whatever you use. So, I mean, what about you? It sounds like you want to start writing more. Do you write better in the morning or the evening?
In the morning, I usually tend to get more done because there's no since I get up early. If I'm not getting up early, I can write also pretty good at night. I've tried both.
Cool. So you're already getting up early. You already have some structure of a morning routine. You clearly want to add writing into your morning routine. It seems like that's what you would want to do.
Definitely.
And the trick here again is to start small. So just like when you brush your teeth, most people will brush their teeth, but they won't brush for the full 2 minutes because they just want to get that feeling out of their mouth. It's not about writing 1,000 words. It's about writing for some kind of easy amount of time that you're allowed to go over. So you'll say, all right, well, starting tomorrow, I will wake up, I will drink my glass of water, and without sitting down, I will grab my writing book, which should already be in one specific location, and I will sit down in my writing chair and set a timer for 10 minutes and write at least 10 words, or else I will pay $50 to some charity. And if you say, I will do this, and you pre-commit to this for like a week, and ideally you'll have to send out that writing sample to somebody to prove that you have written it every day, you will find that after 1 week, it becomes slightly easier. It's not automatic yet, but it doesn't take as much like remembering. It's just kind of, you'll find yourself walking that direction and you'll be like, but I don't need to today. I did 20 words yesterday. But you'll find yourself doing it, but like both of these brains are fighting against each other. And then after another week or two, this brain will completely take over and it'll just be like, this brain will take over and it will just say, hey, that's what you do. Like, that's what you do right now. Like, don't forget, that's what you do. And you walk outside and you'll be like, oh shit, I need to get my writing book. I know I'm in a rush, but I got to write later on today. So, I mean, honestly, that is a really high solution for you, which is, it sounds like, I mean, I know that you're very active and you're pretty good with your habits right now. It is not as hard as you'd think to add on small amounts of change. The trick is to take it slow and identify the right technique to do it. And I really love this morning ritual process because it kind of lets you have this, like, I just like to have a checklist of like, it's as simple as having a checklist, making it visible that you can see in the morning. And it's like, as soon as you go to get the glass of water, right? You're drinking that water already, fucking put a sticky note on your glass or whatever. But as soon as you drink it, you're like, oh, that's right. I simply have to sit down for 1 minute or else I owe Maneesh $50, That'll start to motivate you. Do you have an iPhone?
Yeah, I have an iPhone. Yeah.
You should. After the call, I'll set you up with the Pavlok app, and you can make a bet with me and
sure.
set it up to go to the gym.
Sure. Sounds
to write every day.
Definitely.
And the last thing I wanted to mention, and this is a little bit of a side note, and it's probably not the next thing you want to do. I would focus on your writing habit if that's the most important to you. There is a lot of power in meditation, and I've been using this app called Headspace, HEADSPACE, which from a business perspective has one of the best onboarding processes I've ever seen to get people to use an app. It's amazing. We're like totally researching it for our own app. But what they do is they start off with this guided meditation. It's 10 minutes a day for the first 10 days, and then it becomes 15 minutes for the next 15 days, and then 20 minutes for the next 20 days. And because it's like people are told to meditate, but nobody really knows what that is. When you look at that Fogg behavioral model, it's really hard. The Headspace app makes it really simple because it's like, yo, day 1, do A. Day 2, do B. Day 3, do C, But what's really cool about it is that meditation has been proven over and over again to enhance executive function in your brain, which is that front brain I've been talking about. And while it is probably impossible for me to directly say that because I meditated, my life has overhauled itself, I will say that I have been meditating for must be 45 days now. Wow. I've been meditating for exactly 45 days now. And at the same time, I've been tracking my calories. And I just noticed this because I'm going to share my screen. About the same time, look at this. It's a 47-day streak. It's almost exactly how many days I've been tracking my calories as I've been meditating. And I'll tell you this, I'm not the kind of guy who tracks his calories. I'm not the kind of guy who eats right. I'm not the kind of guy who meditates. I'm not the kind of guy who like sticks through with what he's going to say. But ever since I've started meditating, I've noticed that naturally other good habits attach themselves to what I was doing, to the point that it almost feels like, so I'm very impulsive. I don't know if you're like me, but for example, I have a dish that's dirty on my chair. So I'll say, okay, I'm going to go wash my dish. So I'll get up and I'll start to wash the dish, but I'll notice that there's like a problem on the sink. So I'll grab the towel and start washing the sink. But as I'm grabbing the towel, I like pull it off the wringer. So I'm like, oh, I got to go get the drill so I can fix that. But as I go to get the drill, I'm like, oh my God, I should install my pull-up bar. And suddenly my friend walks in and she's like, hey, did you wash the dish yet? I'm like, what do you think I'm doing? And I'm holding a drill. What I've noticed is ever since I started meditating, it's not perfect, but what's kind of been happening is I kind of feel like there's like a string attaching me to a pole. And it's like once I start to get up to start washing that dish, my impulsivity pulls me away to the next thing. And this string says, yo, wait, don't do that next thing until you finish that one task that you promised you were going to do.
Yeah.
And it's helped. I'm not going to say it's solved it. It has in no way solved it, but it has definitely helped me become more mindful of when I am starting to become impulsive and reset myself.
Yeah,
so
completely. But
like I said, this is one of those things that takes literally 10 minutes a day of just sitting on a couch and listening to an iPhone. It's not like if you do it right before writing or after writing. If you do it right before writing, it'll help you get in the mood to write, for example. Like if I were like personally coaching you, what I would tell you to do is in the morning tomorrow, make a commitment for the next 4 days, until make it go through Sunday. Make sure you also do Saturday and Sunday. That you would get up, drink a glass of water, and without sitting down, make sure that you have your iPhone ready and the Headspace app on and your journal ready. And I would sit down, do 10 minutes of meditation, followed by 10 minutes of writing, and that would be it. That's what I would recommend.
Definitely. There's some amazing tips. And I mean, that's also why it doesn't work to simply say, yeah, I'm going to do this. It's kind of with willpower, it doesn't really work. You have to create these habits that stick. And I think, do you believe that's also why so many people fail with that? Like they don't have accountability. They don't have anyone who's supporting them on their journey to actually accomplish this goal.
Yeah. I mean, nobody's watching. It's like, I mean, if I told you, hey, Navid, I need you to go run a half marathon, you'd be like, maybe. And I'm like, listen, Navid, I need you to run a half marathon or else your mother dies. Like, you'll go run a half marathon. There's some motivation there, right? The fact is, when no one's watching you, like, there's different people are okay with different kinds of motivation. Like, I don't mind people are very afraid of it posting on their Facebook wall. I'm not that afraid of it, so that might motivate me a little less. But the comments that people make fun of me about is interesting. Like, it definitely makes me have to think about it the next time. Other people are motivated by shock. Other people's are not. Our wristband does this electric shock thing. That is like everybody has their own senses of motivation. So money doesn't motivate really rich people, but it does motivate like younger people or people who don't have any money. And money also doesn't motivate women as well as it motivates men. But losing your favorite dress motivates women a lot, in my experience. And accountability. This is one thing about accountability. We've been testing accountability groups in our Hack the Habit Facebook group. I'm not sure if you're a member of it.
Should I link it up in the show notes?
Probably not, but I'll send it to you later on.
Okay, cool.
It's a Facebook group we've been testing our habit algorithm with, and if anybody's really interested in changing a habit, you can email me and I can set you up with the Hack the Habit membership, but you have to be active.
Okay.
And we've been testing accountability partners, so Facebook chats of 2 to 4 people that keep you on track, and we've noticed that there must be a woman in the group for the accountability group to work at all. If the woman disappears, like the accountability group just fails. But if there's at least one in a group of 3, for some reason, it keeps these habits going. So that's worth thinking about. Making your accountability partner a female, for some reason, makes them push you more. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it's just super misogynistic, but it's just based on what I've seen.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. But we're reaching the end here. But I want you to explain a little bit how actually Pavlok works.
Yeah, sure.
You talked about kind of the model for it more in detail, but you can say like what does it do in specifically?
Sure, I'm going to show you. I'm just going to pull up the iPhone app. So Pavlok is at its core an ecosystem focused around behavior change. And we're breaking it down into specific ways of changing behavior. Some of them are forming good habits. Some of them are breaking bad habits. And other versions are about helping like train just specific behaviors. So let me make this example clear. There's a lot of wearable devices on the market. This is just one of them. This is the Pavlok alpha prototype. You can see it flashing, I believe. And it's designed to do three things from a functional perspective. Four things. It vibrates. So right now it's vibrating, and it can change the level of vibration. It's got LEDs. So you can see there's a few LEDs here. It's got a beeping sound. And it's got a shock, which you can't see, but I'll feel it. It's going to take a second while it charges. Okay. And so what it does is it shocks, vibrates, beeps, and LED lights. At its core, it's just a device that does those things connected to your phone. What is the power and the brains behind it is the app and the API. So for breaking bad habits, for example, opening Facebook too much or biting your nails and things like that, a lot of the time the problem is simply that you go into this automatic mode. You sit down at your laptop and your hands naturally move to Command T, F, enter, Command T, R, enter, and the next hour is spent on Facebook and Reddit. And what is the reason for that is that because of the positive habit rewards that have been received every time that you go to Facebook, you see a red dot, you click the dot, you start talking to some pretty lady, and suddenly you have this like neural pathway that's formed in your brain. You go to Reddit, you see some new information, you click it, you have more fun, you like a funny picture, you laugh. Those are habit loops, and they're causing the bad habits to form in your brain. Pavlok, I wanted to start off by breaking those bad habits. So the first way to do that is to simply add a little bit of notice, like to let you notice when you're doing that. And we started off by making it so every time you go and whenever I open up 10 tabs, it vibrates. When I open up 11 tabs, it beeps. When I open up 12 tabs, it shocks me. 13 tabs, it shocks me. And the idea is whenever I hit that 10 tab number, I start going backwards and closing the old tabs because I realized that it wasn't necessary. It's that reminder that helps me break the habit of opening too many tabs. Now we're designing it so it hooks into Facebook and Reddit. So we're going to have the ability to help you as soon as you go on Facebook, it will instantaneously shock you. So you will stop desiring to go to Facebook. You won't even want to go to Facebook, but also just doing like a time limiter. So it's like after 20 minutes, it will beep every minute, and every 3 minutes it will shock you, so you'll make sure that you don't stop going. What is Pavlok at its core? It's the breaking bad habits thing I just mentioned. We're starting off with 3 use cases, which is productivity, breaking bad habits, wake up on time, which is a behavioral training device, and forming good habits, which is fitness. And the behavioral training, wake up on time, you wake up to your iPhone alarm. Do you ever hit the snooze button?
Very rarely these days, but I did before.
Yeah, some people do, some people don't. You can't snooze a shock. You're awake when you get shocked. So that's like a training device. And then the third one was forming new habits. And the way that we do that is more of the betting back end and less of the shocking front end. You wear this wristband that lets you know how many steps you're walking. If you make that your goal, or if your goal is to go to the gym, it's hooked into your GPS on your phone. If you don't go to the gym on time, the wristband will start to vibrate and beep. It'll remind you to be there. If you are still late, the wristband will post on your Facebook wall, I didn't make it to the gym on time, shock me, and your Facebook friends will get to shock you from across the internet with a couple hundred volts of electricity. If you take off the wristband and cheat, you'll be charged money. So you're locked in.
Wow, this is powerful. I'm really interested actually in getting one myself. And where can people go and find out more about this? And when does it come out?
So you can go to Pavlok.com. We're selling a limited amount of alpha prototypes, which look like this, and they are they're kind of bulky and they're super early stage. And the big benefit is that you get them in 2014. So we're selling maybe 50 more of them at $249. If you're international, there is a special link that I can provide you, Naveed. And so anyway, if you want to buy them, there's a very hidden link on our site. Go to Pavlok.com, which I'm going to show you right now, and it's also going to show you what the actual design will look like.
Sure.
Share screen. So this is kind of what the actual design looks like. If you go on the site and you scroll down, you're going to see this really small link that says pre-order now.
Yeah.
And there's this really long landing page. I really did not want people to buy this. So I made them go through a lot of hoops. If you want to buy it, you got to read a lot. And at the bottom, so this is pavlok.com/launch, and you can click the buy button here. And it's like 2 payments of 150 or 260 something bucks for to arrive in 2014. Yeah. It'll also be crowdfunding in September, where it'll be probably slightly cheaper, shipping in 2015.
Interesting. So, I mean, I highly encourage this. I mean, this is powerful stuff to actually be able to stick to your habits and goals. But where can people actually learn more about you if they want to see your blog and all this?
So I would first of all recommend everybody go to pavlok.com and sign up for the email list. You're going to get an ebook that talks about how habits are formed in the brain. You're going to learn, see case studies of people who've been using our habits to change their lives. Then from there, you're going to, if you want to learn more about me, go to hackthesystem.com/about, and you'll see my bio.
Definitely. So let's give my listeners a challenge, maybe a habit forming challenge or something. What would you suggest there?
Sure. Choose a morning. I'd love it if all of your readers could write down right now, what do they do every morning that they always do? Typically, brushing your teeth is a really good example. If it's not that, something else. And what one new thing do they wish that they did every day? If you can figure out how to break that, my challenge for you is to say, okay, let me break that very difficult what I wish I did every day habit into the smallest possible use case. If it's flossing, floss 1 tooth. If it's push-ups, do 1 push-up. And my challenge would be to say for the next week, after you do your morning routine that you already do, after you brush your teeth, before doing anything else, as soon as you wash the brush and put the brush away, do that smallest tiny action for 1 week. If you can pull that off, you're going to notice how different the habit forms, how it feels when a habit begins to form in your brain.
Definitely. And head over to navid.me/44 and post in the comments there. I'll be happy to see what you come up with. So thanks so much, Maneesh, for coming on the show.
No problem. Pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks.
Take care.